Hello, my name is Charles Ahrens Feldman, and this is my MEMS 5001 Optimization Final Project presentation on the Traveling Scotsman problem. Historic Environment Scotland is the leading public organization in charge of care and promotion of Scotland's historical sites. The organization has 78 historical sites throughout the Scottish countryside, all available to the public. These sites are marked with black squares on the map to the right. The average entrance fee to each site is around £10, which is $12 US. In order to see the most sites for your money, a £40 Explorer Pass is offered for sale, which allows admittance to all 78 sites on 7 of 14 days. The goal of this project is to find the optimum path between as many of these sites as possible in the shortest distance while including enough time to stop and see each site along the way. The methods used to solve this problem are as follows. Using the listings of each of the 78 historic Scotland locations, I collected the latitude and longitude, the reviews and ratings, and the type of attraction that each site was, whether it was a castle, an abbey, a historic building, or some other type of site. I then took the latitude and longitude points and plotted them in MATLAB with the default world map dataset. As you can see from the map on the left, some of the data points appear to be off of the islands of Scotland. This is due to the lower resolution map data that is bundled with MATLAB. This data is fine for a large world map, but a more detailed map was needed for the Scottish coastline. I used a website that allowed me to click on a large number of points on a world map and it would generate a CSV file of the latitude and longitude for each point. I used this site to click around 3,000 points along the Scottish coastline and then plotted those points in MATLAB in order to create the map to the right. The Historic Scotland sites were again plotted, but with the number that corresponded to the Historic Scotland brochure on the previous slide. In order to solve the position data for the shortest path, I used the int.lin.prog method in MATLAB. I was able to solve the dataset to find a solution that visited all 78 sites in as many subtours as are necessary. The code iterated and joined the subtours until just one overall tour remained. This solution is shown on the left. However, because around 10 of these sites were on faraway islands and the code did not take into account the travel time across the oceans, the shortest path involved crossing the ocean 5 times to the surrounding islands. Due to this fact, I also solved for a path that only went around the connected mainland of Scotland, as shown on the right. I used int.lin.prog to find 7 subtours, one for each day, that the pass was valid, but due to the distances and closeness of certain sites, these subtours were very uneven. One of the 7 subtours had 30 plus sites out of 78 and had a total of 1,500 miles of travel in one day. This solution wasn't feasible. In order to account for these limitations with the int.lin.prog function, I broke the data into roughly equal-sized regions of less than 10 locations each, and then ran the code for each region to find a single tour per region. The results are shown in the figure to the right. The 12 regions had an average of 115 miles of travel in one day, which is about 4 hours of travel time. Each of the 12 subtours can be completed in one day, including the sightseeing time. Because there are 12 tours and the pass is only valid on 7 of 14 days, it is not possible to see all 78 sites over a 7-day period. However, there is a decent distribution of all the site types for each tour, so a traveler can pick the 7 subtours that are most interesting to them and not feel that they missed out. This is a list of all the solution tours. After the solution for each region was found in MATLAB, I used the locations to calculate the actual distance over roads and the estimated travel time using Google Maps. Because these tours are closed loops, they can be started at any point on the list and go either up the list or down it, looping around to the other side. Each tour is listed here in counterclockwise order from the top of its respective loop. The number next to each site is the Historic Scotland site number and corresponds to the number on the Explorer Pass brochure. There are a few tours that are a bit outside the normal tour. One, for example, takes nearly 7 hours to drive across the Outer Hebrides and visit only 3 sites in one day. However, there is an airport at the northern end of the Isle of Lewis in Stornoway and an airport on Barra, so it might be faster to fly across the islands than to drive. Another tour visits 8 castles, 1 cathedral, and 1 abbey in a single day, which is significantly less diverse than the other tours. The asterisks on some of the names in the list denote that these locations are closed for part of the season, so please plan accordingly before you visit Scotland.